So loot in Fortnite is a huge part of the game. Like, the guns you have, the materials you have at the start of the game can determine whether you're gonna go on to win the game or whether you're gonna go on to die and face your defeat. So pretty much, guys, I thought I would go ahead and throw together a list of the top 5 houses to loot in Fortnite. Now this list, it's kind of a joke because like a lot of the houses in Fortnite are the same and there are like a ton of good loot spots. Like, to just be like, yo, you gotta go here and you're always gonna get good loot, it's not true. Like, it's hit or miss. Sometimes you're gonna, you know, get good loot, get blessed by the circle and have a good game, and sometimes you're gonna have to be rushed getting your loot and you're gonna have to run a mile. Fortnite's interesting when it comes to that aspect, so just keep that in mind while you're listening to this list. But these are like my 5 favorite houses to loot in Fortnite. Let's get into the video. So like I said, guys, this is like my personal list. Let me know down in the comments below what houses you guys like to loot, because I'm curious to know. Let me know down in the comments, what is your favorite house to loot in Fortnite? Do you have a spot where you always go to land, or do you kind of just, you know, go with the flow and land wherever? Now, I kind of go with the flow and land wherever, but there are certain spots within different areas where I like to land, like certain houses, you know, at Pleasant or Retail or Tilted that I like to go to. So if you guys do enjoy this video at any point in time, make sure to smash that thumbs up button for me. And other than that, guys, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, you guys can go down there, click that subscribe button, become a member of the Goon Squad, turn on those post notifications so that you never miss a video. And that's all we need to say. Let's get into the videos. To start things off, guys, we gotta talk about Pleasant Park. Now, you guys all know the turquoise house in Pleasant Park, not the big ones on the far side closest to the edge of the map, but the one that is closest to Tilted, closest to Loot Lake. It is a perfect house to loot. Now, it does have some downfalls, but let me talk about the pros of it first. It's a really good house to go in and grab some quick loot and dip on out of there. You can actually run like a pretty good route throughout the house to grab all the loot and then move on to the next spot. So it's a really good building to land at, or try to land at, when, you know, Pleasant is hectic. There's a lot of people. You can get in, get your loot, and you're good to go. You got guns, and there's always going to be loot there. There's a chest kind of on the main level or the mid level of the house, and then one down below, so you always have a place to kind of go if someone else lands there with you, and there's most likely going to be loot there. So that's always a plus. There's a lot of loot at that house, and it's in a pretty good spot. Now, the one downfall, guys, is that it's on the close side of Tilted, so you kind of have to loot. Say you're the only one that lands there, you kind of have to loot like backwards and loot away from, you know, the middle of the map in that route, if that makes sense. You know, you usually want to try and land on like the far side of Pleasant so that you can loot closer to the circle and then head into the middle of the map, but I don't know. It's a good house to loot, and it's one of my favorites. Now, moving on from there, for house number 2, we're moving on down to Retail Row. Now, Retail Row has a lot of good houses to loot. It's a really good spot on the map, but it's also pretty hectic. Now, this house in Retail Row that I'm going to talk about, it has a lot of mats nearby, so it's really good for the start of the game to kind of get in, get your loot, get some early game mats, and then go on and get some kills. And my favorite house in Retail is the big old red brick house. It's a pretty big house. It has like 2 chest spawns, a main level, an upstairs, an attic, right? Like, it's got a garage. It's got a lot of loot in that house. Like I said, 2 chest spawns and a bunch of loot. Now, outside of that house, if you go out the back door, the front door leads to chaos, all right? The front door leads to where everyone is going to be. But if you go out the back door, there's a bunch of fences, a bunch of bushes, a bunch of trees that you can destroy and get some early game mats. Now, those are like really crucial. Early game mats are really crucial, and trees and fences and all that, they give you wood really quick, so you can hop in and walk out of there with like 300 wood by the time everyone else has like looted one house. So if you learn how to, you know, loot that house really quick like I have, you can basically go in, loot, get your mats, and be at someone's house before they've even finished looting their house, right? Like, the carnage is going down, you'll show up and you'll be prepared. It really is just like a big house. It gives you a lot of mats, it gives you a lot of loot, and it puts you in a good position for moving on and pushing out of of, you know, where you drop off a spawn. It gives you a good advantage over your enemy with the mats and everything, and it's just a good building, you know. Now guys, for the next house, for house number 3, I want to talk about Salty Springs. Now this house in Salty Springs, I'm sure you guys can assume which one I'm gonna talk about. You guys know the big blue house. It now has like the basement, the hidden layers and everything, and it is huge, and that is simply why it's on this list. It's one of my favorite houses to go to because, one, there's a lot of loot. Alright, there is a lot of loot in that house. Salty, it is hectic sometimes, but it's also a fairly low-key area most games. Like, a lot of times it doesn't get too hectic. That house brought a lot of attention to it, so a lot of the times you'll have like a battle at that house, and it's pretty fun. It's action-packed, and I like going to that house because you have a chance to live. You know, it's not like there's one gun in the house, so you can always kind of go away from your enemy, and it works out pretty good. There's really not much to it. Like, the house is just a good house to loot. Like, you can't beat it how big it is. It's one of the biggest houses in the game for, you know, just being on the street. Of course, we have like the mansion and like the buildings in Tilted and Paradise that are way bigger, like 10 stories or whatever, but like that building, it's a pretty big building, and it's a good position on the map, you know, almost mid-map right beside retail, so it's a good position to kind of move out from there. And I like landing there, grabbing some loot there, you know, getting into some chaos and then moving on with the game. Now for building number 4, we're going to Tilted Towers, and at Tilted Towers I want to talk about the Big Tree building. Now this building is right by the mountains beside construction, and it's underrated. It is such an underrated building. People rarely go there. There's like 2 chest spawns, a ton of loot, a ton of wood within the building through, you know, destroying beds and stuff and cabinets and all that. You can get a ton of wood, and there's also a huge tree outside to go ahead and break. Now there's a balcony that you can go up on and kind of shoot off of, and it's just a really good low-key building in a hectic area. So why I like going to this building and why it's one of the top 5 houses to loot is for that reason. You know, you're in a hectic area, not a lot of people go to this building. It's right beside basketball court. A lot of people don't go to basketball court, so you can even move out to basketball court, grab some more loot. It's a low-key area to land in a hectic area. Like I said, you can land, you can grab a bunch of loot and then move on and go slay out Tilted, right? So you can land, kind of get your bearings, grab these chests, grab these guns, grab the wood and everything, and then move on. And it's a low-key building. It works pretty good, and that's why I like it. It's a super underrated drop, which is why it's like a low-key, relaxed, Tilted drop. And I don't know, it just works pretty good, and it sets you up for a good game. So try it out if you haven't, and let me know down below if you guys actually enjoy going to that building, or do you like being in like the chaos right away. Now finally guys, the final building on the top 5 list. Which building is the best building to loot? Now I don't even know, guys. This is gonna be great. The best building to loot in Fortnite is the one right in the center of Loot Lake. The one, yep, dead in the middle, right in the middle of the water. It is the best house to loot in Fortnite. Now, the reason why, you guys ask, the reason why, well, it's surrounded by water, so anyone tries to get to you, they have to build you, you know, like they have to build you to get to you. And another reason, there's a lot of loot. There's a lot of loot in the house, let's be real. The house is big, there's a cave underground, and you can get a lot of loot from it. Now, it might not be the best position being in like the middle of the water, but there are a lot of mats, you know, there's a lot of trees and rocks and stuff on that little island to get you off of that island. I'm just kidding, guys. Honestly, like, I would not go to that house. It puts you in a terrible spot. But there is a lot of loot there, and you can actually, you know, pull off a pretty good game starting from there. So I'm not saying don't do it. It's just not the best position on the map, but it is a really good house to loot. You know, you got a lot of loot. I think there's 2 or even 3, probably 3 chest spawns right there on the, you know what, 4. I think there's 4 chest spawns on that island. 1 in the attic, 1 in the bathroom, 1 down below in the cave, and then 1 on like the side of the cliff. Now I'm not really sure if all 4 ever spawn at the same time, but that's crazy. There's a lot of loot there. There's a ton of mats, and then you can move on, loot the rest of Loot Lake, and you'll be looted up and ready to go. There's a lot of loot there, guys. Check it out. But yeah, that's kind of a joke. I'm just trolling with you guys. I probably would never land there. The other houses, for sure, it's like a top 4 list. You know, those top 4 houses were legit. And then Loot Lake, like, it's a good house, just not the best positioning, and you're in the middle of the water. So it is a good spot to go. It's just not a good position, and it's tough. You know, sometimes you get trapped in the middle of the lake, so it's tough to get out of there and kind of do what you want to do. So I don't know, I'm just trolling with you guys though. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Let me know down in the comments below what your favorite house to loot is in Fortnite. And other than that, guys, go down there, click that subscribe button for me, and I will catch you guys all in the next video. Peace out.